Hello and happy Friday. How are you guys doing? Alright, so I wanted to check in quickly and talk a little bit about this trash thing I'm doing. Now, some of you may have seen it and you're probably like, Tiana, we're tired of seeing the pictures of your trash. Good for you. Go get it, girl. Get out of my face. I get it. I totally get it. But I want to talk about it on the larger scale because it's really, yes, it's about the trash, but it's not really about the trash. See, I started this journey, and I'll admit I've not been the greatest about doing short little videos like this just to update you guys, and I'll tell you why. It's awkward. That's it. It's awkward, and it's not an area in my life that I push myself out of my comfort zone very often because I'd rather put on a podcast, write a blog. And while those things are great, they definitely don't fill in the void of just checking in with you guys and having these honest conversations, these impromptu, honest conversations. But I started this journey a couple of years ago because I hit a place in my life where I recognized that if I continued on the path that I was on, where I was allowing things that did not matter as much to me as, say, time with my family, time with my friends, time exercising, if I allowed all these other things to continue to dominate my life was not going to go in the direction I wanted it to go. And I really hit rock bottom. I had the first panic attack I've ever had. My anxiety levels were at an all-time high, and I was not a person I liked. And it was a result of allowing myself to be in circumstances and to be in environments that were not healthy. And I have a pattern of this. I had a history of this, and I had to say to myself, something's got to give. And I understand that the first step in that process is understanding what has to change, learning. I've said it before and I'll say it again. All that stands between you and the life of your dreams is what you have to learn. And learning, I don't consider learning just gaining knowledge. I consider learning gaining knowledge and putting it into application. Because in my opinion, you haven't learned something until you've actually done it. And so I went on this journey, and that's where I got connected with a coach who transformed my life. I started reading, listening to podcasts, watching documentaries. I watched the Brian Tracy documentary, which was profound, very profound. If you haven't watched that, it's amazing, by the way. And I started to reconnect with myself. And I did something that's very hard to do, by the way. Sounds simple, but it's like all things, simple in concept, but difficult to execute. And I took Plato's advice to know thyself. And it was a long, hard journey. And in that process, I quit my job. I started my own business. One of my clients offered me a great job, and I have that job. I love it. I started coaching and working with people and transformed my life into what it is today. And that has set me on a trajectory where my new mindset is there is no destination. It's a journey. I will never be the person I truly want to be because I'm never going to stop growing. I'm never going to stop learning. And because of that, I'm always reading, always looking for the next thing, always self-evaluating and tweaking. I love the saying that if you become 1% better than yesterday, at the end of the year, you'll be 365% better than you were. I think oftentimes we get discouraged or we stop making changes, because we don't have the self-awareness to realize we need to grow. Everybody, every human, yes, you who's listening to me right now, needs to grow. Everybody needs to grow. Because if you think you don't, that's an area of growth you need to go through. It's amazing to me when I tell people that I do self-help work, how many people roll their eyes and think, oh, for those people. I'm like, no. Self-help applies to everybody because everybody should be growing. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter where you are in life. You have room to grow, and you know that, and the fact that you can't admit it is one of the areas you have room to grow in. But that's another story for another day. So I'm on this journey. I'm going to continue to dig in, and one of the things that's become obvious is I have world changer in my heart. So what does that mean? That means that at my core, I want to change the world. And I love the Steve Jobs saying, only people who are crazy enough to think they can do. In other words, only people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world actually do. And why do I want to change the world? Because I look at things like, we can put a man on the moon, but we have kids who go to bed starving every night. How is that even a thing? Like, it just doesn't comprehend. It doesn't compute. We can do better. I work in the business world, and I see people in corporate America on every level, up from the C-suite down to entry level, miserable, unhappy, going through the motions, doing what it takes to get by, but not truly thriving in life. Having no true sense of self, like Plato, know thyself. No real goal, no real ambition, just trying to make it through the day. And I think to myself, how have we accepted this as a norm? We've learned how to mute ourselves. We've learned how to mute our voices. We're really good at using drugs, alcohol, TV, food, all kinds of things to distract us so we don't have to deal with the reality that we are accepting less, not achieving our potential, and just doing what it takes to get by rather than truly living and thriving. Very few people in this country, in the world, are living and thriving and unapologetically connecting with their true self and being the true version of themselves. It's just not a reality that we see at play amongst most people in this country. And it's unbelievably disturbing to watch. It's disheartening to watch. Because, and I love, Jim Kwik says this all the time, and if you don't follow Jim Kwik, if you're on social media, if you're on podcasts, get his podcast, follow his social media. But Jim Kwik hits the nail on the head when he says, if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. If you want to continue to just make it through each day rather than kick butt each day, then go for it. Have at it. It's all yours. You can waste away your life if that's what you want. But it's not how it has to be. And if you think that's how it has to be, that's a lie you're telling yourself. It's just not true. So, all that to say that I picked up a book that just resonated with my soul. And it's Change Your World by John Maxwell. It's his newest book. It just came out. And I was listening to it at the gym on Sunday, and John said something really powerful. He said, don't wait until the end of this book to start making a change. And that really sat with me really strongly. And so Monday morning when I got up, I get up and I walk in the morning. That's just kind of how I start my day. And I thought to myself, that do something now, don't wait, was just deeply resonating with me. I said, okay, what is that thing that I can do now? Well, I'm going to go for a walk. I can take a bag and I can pick up trash on the side of the road. I didn't realize how that one small act was going to change, even just now, 5 days into this, change so much for me. And I'll tell you what's changed. First of all, now I see trash on the side of the road that I used to be so good at tuning out. We're so good at this. We tune out the inconvenient things in life all the time. I can't tune it out anymore because I've refocused my mind to see these things that I didn't see before because I'd gotten comfortable with them. I now also see that we have a big problem with drinking and driving in this country, especially this state. I can't tell you how many beer cans I pick up off the side of the road. It's made me realize that there is a bigger problem out there. And yes, while it is about the trash, because it is something small that I can do now, it's bigger than the trash. It's about the fact that we have a problem, a bigger problem. The trash is the symptom. The real problem is that we have a large segment of our population that is okay with drinking and driving, that is okay with taking their trash and throwing it out the window, that is okay with seeing trash and just driving by, not doing something about it. this has made me realize that I have turned a blind eye to things because I was too busy or it was inconvenient to address it. And it's made me realize that that world changer that's in my heart doesn't have to start with something huge. Doesn't mean that I have to go immediately and find something that changes the world. It means that I have to start taking action today and now. And if it's as small as picking up trash in my neighborhood and praying for the people who are throwing these beer bottles and beer cans out their windows, then it's something, and something is better than nothing. But it's made me realize that we can do more. Not just that we can, but that we should. We, and I don't say me, I say we. Because this is not something that any of us should ignore. It's not just about the trash. It's about the bigger ramification. It's about the bigger implication. The fact that people don't value other people enough to not drink and drive, to not throw their garbage out, to think that it's acceptable to drive by and just leave trash. It's about the fact that we all have the ability to do something to make the world a better place. If we don't, it's just because we have been making excuses or we're not making it a priority. And I'm not saying this to make you feel guilty. I mean, I'm not any better. This is something I did 5 days ago, so it's not like I'm some superhero. It's about the fact that I'm listening to John and I'm putting his words into action and saying, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much I had available to me that I just chose not to do anything about because I wasn't thinking big enough, or I wasn't thinking small enough, right? Or I wasn't thinking specifically enough, or I wasn't being open-minded enough to realize that there's stuff I can do right now where I am. So I say all this to encourage you. You know, I've completely changed my life because I believe that people have value. Because I believe that people settle. Because I believe people are worth more than they give themselves credit for. And everybody, by the way, it doesn't matter how poor of decisions somebody's made, they can make better decisions going forward. Everybody can make better decisions. I believe everybody can do something small to make the world a better place. And I believe that we need to stop settling for less in our personal lives, in our communities, in our families. And I believe in hope. I believe that if you're listening to this today and you know that your life is not everything it could and should be, and you know that you're not fulfilling your potential and your purpose, that today is the day to make that change. That you don't have to make that excuse anymore. You don't have to live that lie. You don't have to think like that anymore. It is a choice. I invite you to join me on this journey. Maybe picking up trash isn't for you, and that's okay. But there is something that small and that simple right now in front of you that you've just tuned out that you can do to make the world a better place. And if enough people come together with this mindset and this shift in belief, we can change the world. And it's about believing that your life can be better than it is today. And it's about believing that if you choose to grow, you can make not only your life better, but the world better, because you can't give what you don't have. By growing, you are increasing your ability to do more for the people around you. My growth has not only benefited me, it has exponentially benefited everybody else because I have more to give. Your growth will not just benefit you, but it will benefit the world around you because you have more to give. I invite you to join me on this journey. If you don't know where to start, I've got my podcast, Tiana Shoei Ain't Quite Right. It's on all the platforms, Apple, Google. You can go to my website, tianashoei.com. It's under the podcast. If you're a person of faith and you want to be motivated in your faith, I've got my podcast, Made to Conquer, again on all the platforms, or madetoconquerpodcast.com. But do something. Start believing in yourself and start believing that the world can be better, it should be better, and it begins with you. It's not somebody else's problem. It's your problem. It's my problem. It's our problem. Be encouraged. Have a great day and a wonderful weekend.